3, 2, 1.
Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Hello to those of you who are feeling called to this reading in particular, mystery reading number 1058. My name is Elizabeth, and before getting into this reading, if you are a recurring viewer, you enjoy my work and you would like to help support it, feel free to do so by sticking around and hitting that subscribe button down below and ringing the notification bell next to it if you feel called to. And if you do feel called to subscribe and stick around, welcome, and thank you very much for your support, as well as your presence during this reading. Before I start interpreting the number 1058, well, the first thing I'm feeling intuitively is that 1056 could have been a significant reading for somebody, or is, and you haven't watched it yet, or you have. Take it however it resonates. The other thing that I'm feeling is a lot of darkness, uncertainty, maybe even frustration. But I'm also feeling that the symbolism of an eye is significant. Maybe your third eye chakra, or just your intuition. It does feel like what could help illuminate the way forward for you amongst the darkness and the uncertainty is your own intuition. There is an uncertain, maybe even scary situation where it's important for you to really, really trust yourself, your inner voice, what it's telling you, and where it is guiding you. There could be something here about building up your self-confidence. I'm seeing the 7 of Wands, which is about self-defense, standing your ground, standing tall in what you believe, what you feel, what you think, what you know is right. The number 7 itself is about wisdom, expanding your awareness, your consciousness, finding deeper meaning. There is something to learn from this. I think if you move forward in a way that respects your worth and what you deserve, you will become more aware, more conscious in a way that empowers you and gives you more power, more control over yourself, your life, outcomes. There is something here that I feel that you deserve to know. And the only way to know, to learn, is to move forward, trusting yourself. You might make a mistake or two, but the silver lining is you might learn something from that mistake. About what? It really depends on what the mistake is. It could be really important for somebody to be kind and patient towards themselves when they are wrong. We're human beings. We don't know everything, and it's okay that we don't know everything. It definitely can be difficult to be wrong, but maybe there's something here where your sense of self-worth is associated with being right that needs to be detached. I wanted to say disbanded, I do think that there is a certain way of thinking that needs to change, of seeing, feeling, and believing. Feels like there's an opportunity here for you to grow and to change as a person. Whether that change is big or small, it's positive nonetheless. Moving into the number 1058 now. The number 1 itself is literally about trusting yourself. So that's just here to reinforce what we've already talked about. The number 0 is about signs. That's a new way that I've been interpreting it a lot. I don't typically interpret it as signs, but every time I think about it now, there's certain patterns, recurring themes that are signs for you that I feel are really, really important for somebody in this reading to pay attention to. And these patterns can be within you or outside of you. Another way that I interpret the number 0 is a reminder to know when to put yourself first, the journey and the relationship with yourself first before any other journey or relationship outside of yourself. This is really making me think of the 7 of Wands again. Maybe there is something about yourself that you can't change or that you don't want to change, that you need to defend and protect. And I'm really, really getting this imagery of a lion, a real fierceness, maybe even ferociousness. Makes me think of how lions can be associated with pride. You're allowed to be proud of yourself for standing up for and protecting parts of yourself that you can't or don't want to change. Of course, as long as it's not hurting yourself or anybody else, but you know what I'm saying. You're allowed to have confidence in yourself and who you are and who you want to be. You gotta protect yourself, and behind the shield, nurture yourself. You know what I mean? Know when to put yourself first. The number 5 is about change and transformation. This could be just confirmation or messages to bring awareness to some changes, whether they're within you or outside of you. These changes are important and they are worth paying attention to. They're significant. The last number, the number 8, is about loss and trusting that whatever is lost will be replaced. I just looked down at the timer recording this video and I see that I am 8 minutes into recording this first segment. When you defend yourself, you protect yourself. When you put yourself first, when you need to, and sometimes when you want to, you might lose people. You might lose some things. But it will pay off. No matter how long it takes, if you stay true to the path of self-love, self-care, protecting and nurturing yourself, I believe that it will pay off. And sometimes you have to think bigger than just this life. Maybe it won't pay off in this lifetime, but it will the next. And I'm not saying that will be the outcome. I don't know the future like that. Not for a general reading. You get to decide ultimately, though, your own trajectory. What direction you want to go in and what outcome you ultimately want, no matter how long it takes. There's really something here about commitment, it feels like. when the video automatically stopped recording, I sneezed like 5 times. And usually whenever I sneeze during a reading, it's about good luck, blessings, you know. And I sneezed 5 times. So it feels like whatever changes you're going through, inside or out, it will lead to better days, better outcomes, just better overall. You have the power, the strength, the fire, the will to see, to navigate this darkness, this uncertainty. So really have faith in yourself and trust yourself. Adding up these numbers, 1 plus 0 is 1, plus 5 is 6, plus 8 is 14, 1 plus 4 is 5. Again, changes, transformation. These changes really, really are significant. And I'm being reminded of the Tower card in Tarot. I really, really get this strong feeling that somebody is dealing with a difficult living situation or a really difficult relationship or both. But no matter what, you don't exactly feel safe, secure. Things don't really feel stable. It seems that your ancestors want you to know that they are present with you. And really, you really could be fighting through the same darkness that your ancestors fought through. You know, like the changes that you're going through, they're bigger than you. And I'm being reminded of something that helped me feel better about my own situation and like my own lack in life. And it's that it was something that I read. I actually got this book called Our Daily Bread. And it is for the Christian faith, I believe. I don't identify as Christian at this time. I did when I was younger, but I spiritually felt called and intuitively read to read this book. Even though I don't feel, like I said, like I identify as Christian anymore. I felt inspired and called to read it because someone else read it and they said that the timing of certain messages, stories, was just right. And I, as a spiritual person, timing is huge when it comes to signs and messages and alignment and all of those things. So, like I do believe that all religions have truth and deception. That's up to us to discern what is real and what isn't. And so I'm open to exploring a book like this. But one of the stories in there was something about how, I think it was called God's Timing or something like that. Maybe there is a Christian watching this who could use this. But it was basically just like a reminder that God does things in his own time. For me, with what I believe, the universe does things in its own timing. Like, you have to look at it like way, way, way bigger than you, and the fact that you are just one fragment of an entire picture. Like, I don't know if this really makes sense, but it's similar to how I used, to a message that I used to give, like, about how humanity together is like a giant puzzle. And each person is one puzzle piece. And so we need everybody on board with the truth, with being honest with ourselves, taking care of and protecting and nurturing ourselves. to see the full picture, to find the answers, to things like, why are we here? What is the meaning of all of this? Why do we exist? Why? So I just wanted to mention that, just to remind you, no matter what your faith is, that I believe at the least, that this is bigger. This is so much bigger. So if you're feeling frustrated about not having something or things being a certain way, remember the other factors at play that have you in this situation. And remember how big this truly is. And don't let that make you feel disempowered. You are your own force that plays a part in this. You can't let the weight of what you can't control diminish the weight of what you can control. I'm feeling maybe an important shift in perspective for somebody here has to do with, focusing more on an abundance mindset rather than a lack mindset. Focusing on what you do have, what you can control, where you do have power rather than what you don't have. What you can't control or where you don't have power. No matter how big of a part or puzzle piece you feel like you are, or that you play, you matter just as much as any other piece of this picture. So, one second. Yeah. These changes are so important. And it really is bigger than you. Moving into the cards now, I'm going to start with the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot cards here. These are actually just the Major Arcana tarot cards. I'm going to draw out one of these to kind of get an idea of what is the bigger picture here, because that's how I interpret the Major Arcanas. It's more long-term, more bigger picture. Maybe we can also see what other forces could be at play here. And I do want to say, I forgot to mention that the High Priestess, other than the Tower card, the High Priestess and the Moon card feel very significant for me. Some foundational breakdown and needing to trust yourself amongst the darkness and the uncertainty. And sometimes, dealing with fear, it's more about just accepting that it's there rather than trying to change it. Sometimes your nervous system, your instincts can only be quiet for so long, as a being trying to survive. So, wow, it's very interesting. We have the Sun right here. The Sun card. This is very interesting because I've been talking a lot about the darkness, and the Sun is all about light, illumination. I think the Sun can really, really be about perspective. I feel that somebody here needs, for their own well-being and future, you need to have a more positive outlook, a change in perspective like I was talking about. And it's not about suppressing the negative, heavier things. In fact, I think you should respect those feelings. Allow them to be, express them, work through them. But don't let it overshadow the light in your life and within yourself. The Sun card here has the number, what number is this? I believe this is the number 19. Yeah. It is number 19. And 1 plus 9 is 10. There's two messages here. The first one, the number 10 itself, is a sign about, your spirit guides being near. There's this real spiritual energy and presence that I feel you should, could be really helpful for you to tap into, to recognize. For me personally, it's been very, very helpful to have a spiritual aspect to what I am going through. With thinking of the number 7, what meaning, what is your why? Why is this happening? What is the reason? What will you choose to focus on, to believe about this situation? Of course, the Sun card here is encouraging you to have a more hopeful, positive outlook on yourself and on your future. And no matter how dark and scary things are right now, really I think the best thing to help you stay afloat is maintaining control over your own perspective. Out of all of the things you don't have control over, this is the one thing you do deserve, always, no matter what, to have control over. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying it's easy. Sometimes you just have to let yourself be a mess and to, really just dwell on the negativity. But what's most important is that you don't stay stuck there. Healing, sometimes it's about changing your perspective, and sometimes it's just about feeling. You really just have to know what you need in the moment, and to really, really be willing to respect that, your own needs. The other message, 1 + 0 is 1. Again, another message to trust yourself. Your spirit guides, especially your ancestors, are really, really encouraging you to trust yourself right now. I'm going to wrap up this reading by drawing out a couple of minor arcana cards from the Prisma Visions Tarot. I'm not going to spend too much time on these cards because I am unfortunately running out of time, but I did see the number 222 on the timer. Minor arcana cards, before I forget, by the way, are more about details. It's more immediate things. But the number 222 can be about a lot of things. It can be about confirmation of a significant relationship or situation on your mind as you have been watching this reading. It could be confirmation or guidance for you to, find peace and balance within yourself. And it can also be confirmation or guidance for you to, really be mindful of the choices that you are making and make sure that you are prioritizing what really does truly mean the most to you, including yourself. So the first card that I have makes a lot of sense, actually. It is the 9 of Pentacles. We have the planet of Venus, zodiac sign of Virgo, it looks like, and the element of Earth. I wanted to say air for some reason. It happens a lot where I want to say one thing and for some reason just feeling like saying another thing. But the number 9 is about purpose and helping the world release what no longer works. The 9 of Pentacles itself is about contentment. I really feel like there is a strong push here for you to learn how to be content with who and where you are now. Because I feel like it's really, really distracting and self-destructive to focus on who you're not and where you're not. At least not yet. And when I'm talking about, not yet, I feel like you are delaying where you want to be, who you want to be, whenever you focus on what isn't. I dropped a card. There it is. And that card is, wow, the 7 of Wands. We have the planet of Mars, the zodiac sign of Leo. I did forget to mention when I was talking about the lion, feeling connected to the zodiac sign of Leo. Just saw the number 444, which is about stability and your ancestors making their presence known again. The 7 of Wands is really confirming what I already felt about it earlier. To stand up for yourself, to protect yourself, but at the same time maintain faith and hope. Honestly, I really feel like having hope, having faith in yourself and what's possible is what's really going to make it easier to stand up for yourself. Amongst the darkness, never forget the light of who you are and where you are right now. I'm really being reminded of the yin and yang. Even on the dark side of that yin and yang symbol, there's still that little splotch of light. There's always light in the dark. You just have to be willing to find it, or even to just let yourself see it.